Good morning, students. Welcome to online session of Social Sciences. In previous class, we have finished a Geography's 4th chapter. In that chapter, we have studied about atmosphere and layers of atmosphere. After that, we have studied regarding various kinds of wind breeze, then temperature zone, about precipitation we have studied. I hope you all have written the notes of that chapter. In today's class, we are going to start third chapter of civics, that is the state government. India is a federation. Federation means a group of states with the central government but independence in internal affairs. In other words, we can say in a federal type of government, the powers and the functions of both the central and the state governments are defined by the written constitution. So here the meaning of federation, it is given in more simple word, that is a federation is a system of government with two levels. Which two levels here talking about? State and central. Now that levels, they share all governing responsibilities. Now there is a single national authority and several states or regional authorities. As you all know that here it is talking about central and state government. Single it is talking about single, and that national authority means central. And several state, here it is talking about states. State government. Okay. Now the national level of governments looks after national concerns. National concerns means that matter of whole nation. It includes currency. Currency means a system of money in general use in a particular country. It also includes defense. Defense means the action of defending from or resisting attack. And taxation. Taxation means money paid as tax. So all these three, currency, defense and taxation, these are the national concerns, and all these are looked by the national level of governance. Next is the state level. Now the state level, they looks after the state concerns, means concerns or the matter which is related to state only. For example, the provision of health. So provision means the act of providing or supplying something. Here it is talking about supplying and providing health facilities. Then roads and education. Here we can say the two functional areas are also known as national subjects and state subjects. Now on the basis of the subjects, we can divide into two, national subject and state subject. Now here a federation therefore should have a central government and the state governments. Now on the basis of the definition of federation, there should be two levels, state government, central government and state governments. Now the power of this both government, that is central and state, that is different, and function is also different. Now here one question arises, how that powers and the functions will be distributed between these two. So the powers and the functions of the both central and the state government are defined by a written constitution. These governments are organized and function is accordance with the norms and the practice of parliamentary system of governments. Norms means standard. Now both these governments, state government and central government, they are having three organs: executive, legislature and judiciary. Now, do you know how many states are there and how many union territories are there in Indian Federation? Yes, 29 states and 9 union territories. In your book it is written 29 state and 7 union territories. But this data is of previous one. Current scenario, the total 28 states are there and 9 union territories are there. Why here 28 states? Because that Jammu and Kashmir has been excluded, and here as 9 union territories are there, as this Jammu Kashmir has been added as union territory. Now this 28 states, they are governed by the different states, and they are having their autonomous government. Autonomous government means they are having freedom to govern they itself and to have control their own affairs. Okay. Now the Constitution India also provides a parliamentary form of the government at the state level. We all know that every state they are having one parliament. So our constitution is providing that kind of form of government. Now who is the head of the center? Yes, the governor. So governor will be the head of the state, and that is appointed by the center for 5 years. Now there is a council of ministers to aid and advise the governor. Now what is the work of this council of ministers? They are present there to aid. Aid means to help and to advise the governor of that particular state. Now this council of ministers, they are a real executive of this state. Real executive means that they are the main leaders who hold the real power and make all important decisions for the country. The Council of the Ministers is the real executive of the state, and they are responsible to the Legislative Assembly or Vidhan Sabha of the state. As a political unit of federation, the state has its own legislature and executive. Now, some states they are having a legislature, 2 chambers, and some states they are having only single chamber. So the states which are having this legislature 2 chambers, that is called bicameral. And which are the 2 chambers? First is Legislative Assembly, also called the lower house. Second is Legislative Council, also called the upper house. In some other states, unicameral legislatures are there. That is, only one popular chamber is there, and that chamber is known as Legislative Assembly. Now MLA, full form, members of Legislative Assembly, they are elected by the people of that particular state, and governor of this state is the nominal executive. Nominal executive means it is a person who heads the executive branch but does not have the power to execute major or important decision, or you can say that is for namesake. Now in that state they are having one chief minister, and that is considered as the real ruler of that particular state, because the chief minister, that particular minister is doing each and every kind of work. Legislative Assembly. Now this Legislative Assembly is the lower house of the state legislature, and it is also called popular house. Now as we have learned that there are states which are, some states they are having bicameral, means 2 chambers, and some states they are having single chambers. So the states which are having single chamber, they are having legislative assemblies. They are carrying out the work of legislative assembly also. The composition of legislative assembly. In this we will learn about the members and the people, those who are included in legislative assembly. Now legislative assembly is a place where all elected representatives, like MLAs. MLAs means members of legislative assembly. Here that MLAs of both parties, ruling party and opposition party, they both meet to discuss the work of government of the state. Now, according to Article 170 of the Constitution, the Legislative Assembly of each state shall consist not more than 500 members and should not have less than 60 members. Now, this number of members are fixed on the basis of the population of that particular state. And how it will be calculated or fixed, that each state that will be divided into various different areas and constituencies, and from each constituency the people, they will elect one representative, and that representative will become the member of Legislative Assembly, means MLA. Now these MLAs, they belong to different political parties. It is not like that all MLAs, they are belonging to single and one party. They may be from different parties. Now there are some states which are having less than 60 members also. Which are the states? They are Goa, Mizoram, Nagaland and Sikkim. Now we will understand about the method of election. And here we are talking about the election of members of Legislative Assembly. Now for the election for the members of Legislative Assembly, they are held directly through a single constituency or single area or region, and that will be based on the adult franchise. This we have adult franchise we have studied in previous chapter. So what is the meaning of adult franchise? It is the right to vote enjoyed by every adult citizen of a country. Adult citizen means those who have attained age of 18. Okay. Now the joint electorate system is adopted in the elections of the Legislative Assembly. According to it, the voters of all communities cast their votes jointly. Means irrespective of their caste, the people, they can cast their vote. Next is session. Here, session means a meeting of an official body. So the governor, they can summon. Summon means they can order to be present there in meeting. So governor can give this order to present in the meeting or in the session of Legislative Assembly anytime. Okay, there is no fixed time. But there is one condition. What is that? This is, there must be a gap of more than 6 months between the two sessions of the assembly. Suppose they had one session in the month of January. So there should be gap of 6 months. Means we will leave February, March, April, May, June, July. So these are the 6 months. After leaving this 6 months, in the month of August, next session will be summoned. Next is quorum. Quorum means a minimum that the minimum number of voting members that should be present so that a properly meeting can be done. So it is necessary. We are talking about Legislative Assembly. So for Legislative Assembly, 1/10 of the total members of the Legislative Assembly must be present to run the proceeding of the Legislative Assembly. Now, officials of the Legislative Assembly, Speaker and Deputy Speakers. We are having these two persons and members there. And they are elected on the basis of the election, and this election will be done by the members of the Legislative Assembly. Now the Speaker, they presides over the meeting of the House, and there are various works that should be done by the Speaker. First is that Speaker maintain the discipline in the meeting. Second, he gives permission to the member to speak. Third, he conduct vote voting after the debate is over, and last he announces the result. And the tenure period of the speaker will be equal or will be exactly the same of the tenure of the assembly. And if that speaker and deputy speaker, they are working properly, that will be good. If they are not working properly, they can be removed any time after passing some resolution by the